Thank you, Dr. Navarro. That was very arresting. And I believe that in the Q&A, we're only limited to 10 minutes with these next interventions. But I believe in the Q&A, I'd like to get at more your concern of the use of fear and hope in the political discourse here in Spain. Because we are in Spain, and I'd like to leave here knowing more about what's happening here, particularly in this country. Next, without any delay, is Dr. Khalid Hajji. He's from Morocco, just across the sea. He's an original founder of the Al Jazeera Center for Strategic Studies, and he's today the president of Brussels Forum of Wisdom and World Peace. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wuddah and Mr. Raphael. Thank you very much for the invitation. Yesterday when I came, I went walking, and a few hundred meters away from the hotel, I saw the name of Jose Ortega y Gasset on a street. And you know that Jose Ortega y Gasset was living discontent in Western civilization, in European civilization, at the end of the 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century. And he called upon Europeans to lift their tents and undertake a new quest for a new conceptual ground. Of course, searching for a new conceptual ground requires new language. We need a new mindscape. We need a new mindscape. It is absolutely necessary, but we need a new language, new tools. In Europe, European culture, for instance, if you compare Germans to Spanish people, they have different visions of the world. Some scholars have given the same pictures, the same images to German and Spanish students, and they asked them to describe what is in the picture. For instance, Die Brücke or El Puente. The German students described Die Brücke, which means the bridge. Brücke in German, they described it in terms of beauty and elegance, but the Spanish student, they described it in terms of strength and solidity. Why? For the simple reason that in German, Die Brücke is weiblich, is female, but in the Spanish language it is masculine, feminine and masculine. Let alone when it comes to comparing the Arabic language, the Indian language, and other languages. So we are facing a huge challenge when it comes to merging into a harmonious whole, because we speak different languages. And these differences must not be exclusive, or we must not inherit a culture of exclusion, but a culture of coming together. Fear, progress. If you take the word progress, it is a trap. Progress originally means progrados, which means a step forward. But if you keep stepping forward, the earth is round. The earth is round, then your stepping forward becomes stepping backward. Hegel, to come out of the crisis, said, no. Progress is not on the spatial level, but progress must be on the time level. It is linear. And here, this is the logic. He installed the logic of colonization. You are colonizing the other. And we have to reclaim the spatial aspect or the spatial dimension of progress. Time, we have different perceptions of time. Some people are witnessing or are living displacement as far as geography is concerned. The refugees, for instance, are displaced as far as geography is concerned. But other people are displaced as far as time is concerned. You know, time is associated with two types of emotion. You have either fear or sadness. Sadness comes from the past. You are sad because you have experienced something. But fear, you are afraid of something to happen. So, there are people who are displaced as long as time is concerned. Either they live in sadness because they have experienced some bad experiences in the past, or they live with fear of what can happen in the future. So the best thing is to condensate, to concentrate our existing now. So we need a new language to experience the moment. This language, unfortunately, we lack. We are lacking for the moment. Hope, of course, hope is the space of action. Hope is the space of action. Shakespeare used to say, oh, the world is a stage and all the men and women merely players. Unfortunately, this morning I was thinking about Shakespeare's saying, and I said, well, we are no longer merely players, we are gazers or watchers. Why? Because we are expecting things to happen. Waiting for breaking news, because we have been reduced to watchers, gazers, not seers. Because a seer might be a crystal ball seer, is someone who can see into the future. But we are only gazers or watchers. This is because of the culture, the type of culture that is dominating nowadays and in which we are living. Of course, we have to re-educate ourselves into a new global context, and there are many challenges. We are no longer experiencing the same type of relationship between believing and belonging. We used to believe and belong at the same time, but now we are living the end of geography, and there is a difference between believing and belonging. And this calls for an effort to re-educate ourselves into a new harmonious whole. What happens? What happens? Happening to happen when Facebook and the new media, for instance, and the media, they have reduced us to watchers and gazers, as I said, expecting things to happen. And you know what happen means? Happen stems from, it means accident. Because accidere in Latin, it means to fall. And accident is things that fall, that happen. So how can we outgrow this logic of expectation and become players again? Players, actors again. But action does not necessarily mean doing always. Action can have other meaning. The wise person, wisdom consists in putting brake on man's action or our action. So acting, we should act wisely. Unfortunately, our actions are not wise. We want to compete with the actors, but we need wise action, which is an equilibrium, striking a balance between doing and not doing. This is necessary. So we have to renew concepts. The concept of politics must be revisited because it implies the dichotomy or an antithetical relationship between politeness or polite and impolite. You know, the word politics stems from polis, which means the city, a closed space. And if you want to live in the city, you must be polite. You must undergo a process of polishing. You must be polished. Okay, to gain access to have the right of citizenship, to belong to the city. Unfortunately, otherwise you are impolite. If you examine the concepts that are dominant nowadays, I hear people talking about Euro-Islam, for instance. What does Euro-Islam mean? If you mean by Euro-Islam a platform for discussion and negotiation between Muslims and non-Muslims, that's okay. We need that. If you want to say that it is a hue, it is a color of Islam, as if you say, for instance, Egyptian Islam, Asian Islam, Moroccan Islam, European Islam, that's okay too. But if you say European Islam implies Islam of enlightenment as opposed to Islam of outside, which implies obscurantism, then we are recreating, reinvigorating, revitalizing the concept of clash of civilization and dividing the world into along religious lines. What we need now is wisdom and reworking, revisiting the concepts that are dominant. Progress, for instance, our notion of time and space, and the news. The news, unfortunately, the English adage or the English proverb goes, no news is good news. But for media people, sorry to say that, good news are no news. Good news are no news. So life passes by because we are concentrating on bad news and what will happen. And it is our task to focus on what goes, aspects of life, because we are concerned with life, time, and politics. I'm afraid that's... We'll get to the Q&A. Okay, thank you very much.